Alright, back to the 2013 Lincoln MKS. I want to rip out the carpet. We got the seat out. We have to address this giant pool of water in the driver's footwell. And at the same time, we'll inspect the wiring harness and maybe see why that traction light was coming on. We definitely need a BCM to fix the turn signals. That's definite. And we still don't know what caused the original customer complaint of, the big glitch. So we're just fixing what's broken. The customer authorized everything. She wants her Lincoln perfect. So, we got to start somewhere. So let's start tearing this stuff apart. It is sopping wet here. You can see the water is just, it's a big pool of water. This is not good for electronics. So let's see if we can get this Lincoln dried out. So this is not looking fantastic. The water did migrate to the back passenger's feet. There's a nice pool right there down this channel. I'm just looking at the wiring harnesses and, well, you don't seem to be swimming in the water, but they're pretty close. This part of the harness, as long as there are no connectors, the green crusties should stay away. These interior connectors are usually not insulated, so I don't see any connectors there or there. So probably not. This has nothing to do with customer complaints, but you can see everything's getting a little rusty right there, all the brackets and stuff. So the water's been here for a while. Check this giant sunroof. By the way, the sunroof has been replaced 2 years ago according to the owner, because it stopped working and then it started working, and she's like, just replace the sunroof. I think the dealer did it. So fill all the channels, spray the window, let the water drain down. Look for any drips. And I can see right here, there's definitely a trace, but an old trace. I don't see any water right now anywhere in this corner. We're coming down to our floor. So one possibility is this car sat outside in the ice and snow, and when I first rinsed it off, it took about maybe 10 minutes with a warm water hose, and then there was a kind of a gusher under the car, like some drain was frozen up, and then it just let all the water out, from the dash area. So potentially if that froze up and then it kept freezing and melting, and then the water overflowed to, where it wasn't supposed to go, that's possible why this water got in here. So, we don't want to chase a ghost here. Now the drain is open and we don't see any leaks, but at the same time we don't want to give the customer the car back with a big water intrusion. So that's these are some of the toughest problems, not the electrical ones, but something like this that takes hours and hours to correct, diagnose correctly. These leaks can be really difficult to find. Extremely difficult. There's airbags in there. Where's the sunroof drain? I don't know. I think that's the hose right there going down. So I don't see anything at the moment. If we find anything, we'll definitely address it. Right now, let's dry out this mess. So we got our shop vac with a metal bucket, so we can suck in all of the liquid like this. It works great. So we're going to get as much out as possible using the vacuum. See the water's draining down. So let me do that and we'll go from there. Alright, so next step while the interior is drying, let's dive into this C0051 trouble code, which means it's the 27 steering wheel position sensor signal rate change above threshold. So DTC sets if in continuous memory if the steering wheel position sensor message sent by the, in our case, the SCCM over high-speed CAN network indicates a higher rate of change when compared to other sensor information received by the ABS module. So what is this other sensor information? It's a logic check. Possible causes: vehicle communication bus, steering wheel rotation sensor, RCM, that's the airbag module, and the PSCM, in our case that's not applicable because we have the parking assist steering column control module. So any DTCs? No, there are no airbag codes. And then check the ABS module DTCs. We don't have any of these. No communication codes. It says go to R3, recenter the clock spring. There's nothing wrong with the actual steering angle. It's right on the money. So then I'm just going to go through all the steps here. With vehicles equipped with park assist, go to R9. But let's just read through everything here just so we don't miss anything. Check the ABS module yaw rate. So in the ABS module we can look up this live data, and then the acceleration, and then the lateral acceleration, so longitudinal, lateral. There's the longitudinal and the yaw rate. The roll rate, so all these things we have to check. We can check them right here while the vehicle is still stationary. And it says monitor the roll rate PID while rocking and shaking the vehicle. Is the roll rate PID value between minus 0.5 and plus 0.5 with the vehicle at a standstill? We can check all that. And then check the RCM. Installation and mounting surface. So if the airbag module is moving, that could upset this system. Intermittent fault condition. Perform a road test. Check the RCM. Is concern still present? Install a new airbag module. Wow, that's pretty crazy. And then, if that doesn't fix it, install a new ABS module. So the parts cannon is the kind of the last resort in this tree. And so that's kind of the overview. Now, I scanned the car for codes with the driver's seat out, so there are a few codes. So the ABS has that C0051. BCM has 3 weird codes: fuel pump primary circuit, run start control, and brake fluid level switch. That's weird. Where did these come from? So is the BCM just messed up? Because the turn signals, we already determined that the only cause for the turn signals weird flash and strobe is the BCM. The drivers are just not happy at 14 volts. They're happy at 12, 12 and a half, even 13, but 14, they start just going nuts. So if the BCM is setting other weird codes, that could definitely explain the initial customer complaint where the car just, it could interrupt the network. It's the gateway. So another strike for the BCM. We are replacing that. That'll be the last step. But right now, let's look at this ABS live data. Alright, so here we have some live data from the ABS module. We have the yaw rate, lateral accelerometer, longitudinal accelerometer, gravity, module supply voltage, and steering wheel angle sensor. So I'm going to turn the steering wheel left and right. That works perfectly. I'm going to rock the car side to side. See, our lateral acceleration is changing for sure. So everything seems to be fine. I think we should take it for a test drive. And why is this not 0 right now? I don't know. Is the airbag module slightly tilted? Perhaps we could raise that on a jack and see if that is weird, because the steering angle and the lateral accelerometer have to agree, right? That's interesting. Alright, so I got the left front corner of the car jacked up to where the wheel is still touching the ground, but it's, you know, as high as it goes with the suspension raised up. Check it out. Now our lateral acceleration is 0 feet per second, and the car is sitting like this. Okay? So maybe I can get a level out and see exactly what the level is with the bubble. But that's not correct, really, because if you know, drop it back down, it goes back to this 0.64. So I don't think that's correct. So I don't know if you'll be able to see this, maybe from the rear of the car. Lateral acceleration is at 0, and where's the bubble on our level? It's over here because the car is tilted, you know, to the right, like this. Let's check the airbag module, make sure it's mounted securely and it's not tilted. Alright, so this airbag module lives right here, and I did check it's mounted securely. Everything looks factory. So I unscrewed the bolt on this side, and I'm tilting the module up, kind of like what we're doing with the car. The car's back down, you know, in its normal state. You don't need the jack anymore. So let's adjust this thing. And there's no bidirectional calibration procedure here to, you know, reset the whatever values. So we kind of have to do it manually. So I'm just putting a little primer under here. So it's raised up, you know, a few millimeters. There's a gap. And check this out. Now we're at 0. If I gently remove my claw and tilt the module back down, we're at 0.64 feet. So I want to install maybe a washer under here to raise it up to this height. So it's at 0, and then we'll take it on a test drive and see if that code resets. Okay, so I installed like a 2mm thick washer right here. Tighten the bolt down. We're right near 0, so let's take this thing on a test drive, put the seat back in, and see if that code resets during some turns. Seat is reinstalled. Let's do a full code clear. Start from scratch, look at that live data, take this car for test drive just on regular paved roads. Dang, so I didn't even get off the lane, making a slow left-hand turn. This is where the code set. Crazy. Service advanced track. So what exactly happened there? We're minus 20 degrees per second yaw rate. What was it not happy with? Steering angle is fine, you know, 150 degrees, okay. About half a turn. And it just started fussing. Yep, there it is again, and I have no explanation of why that code's set. So let me clear that out. And we'll go back to our data stream. So one thing I don't like is this longitudinal accelerometer. Why is it all over the place? You know, this one's negative when you're braking and positive when you're accelerating. This one is only positive, but it's really jumpy. It's not smooth at all. Make a slow right-hand turn here. See, it's 0. We're accelerating. What is that? What is that data pit? Now we're just coasting. Go left, go right. So I'm just doing left and right turns on a straight section of road, and everything seems to be okay. I mean, could that be from the engine? If I really step on it, see, it goes to 0. How does that make any sense? If I'm braking hard, that doesn't make any sense to me. This graph right here. Just to double check our airbag module adjustment, we pulled in the garage this way just in case the garage is a little tilted, and look, it's right at 0, so we did a good job with the washer. So I don't know, we have to keep test driving it and see if that C0051 code ever comes back. Back to the Lincoln MKS. So this morning I took it for a test drive, the standard 10-mile loop. I drove it gentle and sporty and did some curves. The traction light did not come on. This is the first time since it's been here, we've done 3 test drives probably, where the traction light has not come on. So did tweaking that airbag control module so the lateral acceleration zeroed out on a flat surface, did that do the trick? I'm not sure. But we had another problem. Another random glitch came up. And I'll show you the warning that was displayed on the dash. So this cross traffic system fault and then blind spot system fault. So I did a code scan. You see we have a pretty green tree. So which module set that code? SODL, that is the side obstacle detection control module, left U3000 4A-28 control module. That's what it says. So let's hop in here. Read fault code. So there's the code. Control module failure type 4A, installed component incorrect. DTC fault previously detected, but monitoring is not complete due to determined status. So what does this thing do? Well, it's part of the ADAS system. So let's just select all the data PIDs, see what, you know, there's like if something is within range, some obstacle, 5 yards, 4 yards, 8 yards, blah blah blah. No object present in alert zone. So I think this is for the blind spot monitoring, like on the mirrors. You know, it blinks when there's an object right here. So what does that code mean? It just says control module. So that's interesting. We've seen this code one other time, and it came up with the traction light before. This time it just came up on its own. And look, it is on the medium speed can. Isn't that interesting? So what if this module just started going bad, wigging out, and taking down this entire network? The HVAC would be affected. That the customer, you know, said that that happened during just driving, and then she couldn't get it started. I think because both the remote function actuator and the radio transceiver module are also on that network, and obviously this thing has smart keys. So if that network is down, the car won't be able to even recognize the keys and won't crank. So are we on to the initial customer complaint? This sounds very suspicious. You know, if a module, whatever, loses calibration or just goes nuts, then it could take down the network, and that could explain the initial customer complaint. Again, extremely intermittent. It's happened twice since the car's been here for, you know, almost a week. So why did the dealer try to replace the BCM 3 times? I don't think there was anything wrong with the body control module to begin with. It was, the initial customer complaint was due to this side object detection system. But now, and I also talked to my friend Keith about this, about, the weird turn signals, and this body control module was only used on a 2013 Ford Taurus and Lincoln MKS. So it's unavailable at the dealer, and Keith was saying that you need a virgin module to replace it, or you need to send the used one back to the EEPROM specialist to virginize it. The dealer can't do that, and somehow the dealer messed up the base programming. So that's unfortunate. We need a new BCM, and now we're going after this side object detection system. Alright, so for this side object detection module on the left side, so for this code, the OEM service info just says replace the module. I called the dealer up, and this thing costs like $1,200. It's ridiculous. I mean, on eBay, I ordered one for less than $100, used one. But while we're here, I want to try putting in manually the calibration numbers, the as-built data into that module. Why? It's like the BCM was corrupt. Did they also mess up the side object detection module, or is that an original problem? But we have nothing to lose. We can just put in the calibrations, take it for a few more test drives. If that code comes back, we'll put in the eBay module and, program that just with the scanner. You don't need any subscriptions or anything. So we'll give it a shot. Let's see what happens. Alright, so let me clear this DTC out right now. Okay. And apparently it doesn't set. Can we do a self-test? See if this thing will set that code again. No DTCs. See, it passed. So if it's an intermittent problem, the problem is going to be in the module. I'm sure of that. But under special functions, we have programmable module installation. So we'll hit no, and then manual, and we'll go through these. I took a picture from the as-built file. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, probably like 20 lines of code, so pretty quick. Let me punch these in. We'll do the calibration, see if that code goes away. If it doesn't, we'll just pop in a new module. Alright, here we go. So all rows are put in. Click OK. Switch the key off. Okay. Install new module. Okay. Key on, engine off. There we go. Okay. Procedure succeeded. Turn the switch off. Okay. So that's it. To save the ADAS report. Sure. Let's see what the ADAS report shows. Huh, side object detection module success. Okay, that's cool. So we have proof that we did that. And let's run it, scan it for codes one more time. I do want to wash this thing. It's filthy, and we'll see if any water leaks down in the footwell. And we're getting somewhere, but it's kind of a long process. Alright, much better. A little rinse. And after the car wash, do we see any signs of drips or drops or anything like that? I don't. Not at the moment. Everything's nice and dry. So let's take it on a test drive around the block again and see if any other glitches come up. Well, I just pulled off into this parking lot. Guess what came back? Service advanced traction light. That's not good. So what could possibly be responsible for that? All the live data is on the money, and it doesn't happen every drive. So far it's happened at slower speeds. You're slowing down and you're making a slight turn. Blows my mind. So we're not done with this car by a long shot, unfortunately. So if I could figure out how to reproduce it, you know, do the same exact move into the same exact parking lot, if it happens every single time, we have a chance. But if it happens, you know, once a day and in different scenarios, then that's really tough. That's interesting though. There it goes again, service advanced track. Slow, like 10 miles per hour, gentle curve over some bumps on gravel. Does that only happen on gravel? Weird. One more thing that I noticed when I was driving this Lincoln around is that these two buttons didn't do anything. So it has automatic parking assist, which is fancy. You push the button and the car self-parks, turns the steering wheel, backs up, looks for spot. And then the lane assist didn't work either. This button right here. So you know what? I want to check if the buttons are connected. Pull over the side panel. It's disconnected. Someone has been in here. When I first got the car, this lower side panel was like loose. So what were they doing? That's my question. I'm going to call the customer again and ask them to send over a copy of the invoice from this dealer that swapped the BCM 3 times. You know, what else did they touch on this car? It's, you know, I want to know the whole story. Well, didn't have to call the customer. She actually provided a nice envelope of stuff. And here is the invoice from the dealerships from October 24. So almost half a year ago. So Stacia drove to Dayton from the lake. On her way back, AC went out and started blowing hot air. And once she arrived home, the vehicle completely shut off and the brake pedal went stiff. She had tried removing the battery. Would like to diagnose. Please advise. Verified customer concern. BCM has an internal failure. The BCM is no longer available through the factory. Found 3 used BCMs. Attempted to install and program 3 used BCMs. Unable to program these used BCMs. Car will not start. Unable to find any remanufactured BCM. Boom! That's it. Game over, right? So it doesn't say anything about tearing the console apart or whatnot. Apparently they just found an internal failure in the BCM. I don't see a scan report. I don't see any evidence of, you know, why did they write this? $130, so I guess they charged 1 hour of diagnostics. But right now, according to the customer, they put the original BCM back in because they couldn't program the 3 used ones. And the car is driving perfectly fine. If the BCM had an internal failure causing the car not to start, you would think that it wouldn't just fix itself and we can't reproduce the complaint whatsoever. Because this car was dead for days. It was towed to the dealer. They couldn't figure it out. It was completely dead. So, the plot thickens, doesn't it? So why were those buttons unplugged? I have no idea. I'll call the customer anyways just to let her know what I found here. But we have on order from eBay a used BCM and then a used side object detection module. Let me plug those buttons in, see if the car can self-park. That'd be kind of cool to try out. And see if the lane departure system works as intended. So then the only problems remaining are the weird turn signals, which the BCM will fix. And then this once in a blue moon, when you're pulling off into a gravel lot, turning slightly, the sets the C0051 Angle Sensor fault. I cannot explain that one yet. Alright, so I reconnected the buttons. If I hit the auto park button, check this out, searching for a parking space on the right side. So that looks like the system is online. And then the lane assist, there we go. We got the buttons just showing you the car right there. So the buttons work. Why was that unplugged? I have no idea.